Welcome back. Your life can change in the blink of an eye if you see the flashing lights of the police in your rearview mirror.
To find out what you should do if you're faced with a possible DUI, lawyer James Nesci joins us. And James, we were talking a lot during the commercial break. We were talking a lot about myths, things that you've heard, you know, that you just hear kind of out there. So we're going to kind of break down a couple of things. But let's start with, how do you even decide on who to choose as a DUI lawyer if you find yourself in that predicament?
Sure. What I tell people to do is do a good search on the internet first. If you have a family lawyer, talk to your family lawyer. Maybe you have a lawyer who does your wills or your trusts or that sort of thing, and that attorney will know somebody in the community. Pick 3 attorneys, hopefully somebody from our firm as well. Go out there and interview the attorneys. You should interview the attorneys. And the attorney's also going to interview you to see whether your case is something that should go to trial or should plead, or whether you have an actual defense or not. So shop around is the main word.
Not all attorneys are truly qualified for this, right? You have to have a certification to be a DUI lawyer, right?
Well, you don't have to have a certification to be a DUI lawyer. You have to be an attorney. And actually, any attorney can do a DUI in terms of the law. You don't have to be a criminal defense attorney or a civil attorney to do those things. Once you pass the bar, you can practice in any area you want. However, you have to think who's competent in these areas. I'm not going to go to a foot surgeon or a hand surgeon for a brain tumor, okay? Now, I'm board certified by the National College for DUI Defense. I'm one of 48 people in the country who's board certified. My partner, Joe St. Louis, is also board certified. I've been certified since 2001, and it's accredited by the American Bar Association. Wow. And it's a very difficult designation to get. For example, when I took my board certification exam, 8 of us sat for the exam, only 3 passed.
Wow.
In 2007, 10 attorneys sat for the exam, all 10 failed. Wow. So it's a difficult designation to get, and it takes about 3 years to actually get that designation.
Wow.
And we're very lucky to have somebody here locally that we can go to. Now, if I find myself in a predicament, I'm pulled over, I'm now being, you know, possibly facing this DUI charge, does everybody need someone to defend them? Do I need a lawyer at all times?
Yes.
Okay.
The government will have a lawyer that's prosecuting you. You need a lawyer to defend you. Okay, they're called prosecutors, and they are bound by the law to prosecute you for a DUI. We actually have an anti-plea bargaining statute that doesn't allow a misdemeanor DUI to be pled to anything other than a misdemeanor DUI, which is ridiculous. In this state, you can plead a child rape case to something other than child rape. You can't plead a misdemeanor DUI to something other than misdemeanor DUI. I think they got that one backwards when they wrote the law, but that's what the law is. So you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Right, so you're facing a DUI, and a lot of people think, you know, I'm not going to be able to get around anymore. Does someone actually lose their license when they get a DUI?
Yes. There are a couple of different ways to lose your driver's license. In fact, you can lose your driver's license without even being convicted of a DUI. Because what happens is, you agree that under our implied consent laws, that if they can prove that you were driving, or they had reasonable grounds to believe you're driving while under the influence, you took a test and you're over limits, you lose your license administratively, even without going to court. It's called an administrative hearing. And to top it off, they say that losing your driver's license is not a punishment. They call it an administrative remedial measure.
Really?
Yeah, I'll tell you, look, you take any one of the Motor Vehicle Division higher-ups licenses for 90 days, they're going to call it a punishment.
Right.
But nope, they call it an administrative remedial measure, taking your license for 90 days. And I have plenty of clients who've lost their license for 90 days and have not been convicted of the DUI.
Unbelievable.
Wow. And there's probably a lot of things that we don't know. And I was talking about how we were chatting during commercial break, and one of the questions I asked you is, I just heard, I'm sure out there is rumor or myth, or, you know, you just heard along the way. What is the accuracy difference between a blood test and a breathalyzer? Because what I've heard is that, you know, one is supposed to be better than the other, or you're supposed to refuse one. What's really the difference?
First off, in Arizona only, if you're arrested for a DUI, you must submit to a test of breath, blood, or urine. It is the cop's choice. If you don't, they will take your license for a year, and they will go ahead and get a search warrant for your blood. So they'll get the blood anyway, okay? Now, the question of whether a breath test or a blood test is more accurate, both can be equally accurate or equally inaccurate. You have to realize you're testing 2 different substances. So you might have a breath test that says you're a 0.05, and a blood test that says you're a 0.12, well over the limit. They can both be accurate because they're different substances. There's a conversion factor between breath or blood, and you're at the mercy of the police as to which which one they choose, breath or blood. And that's very problematic. Unfortunately, the legislature has said that we as attorneys cannot tell a jury about the difference between breath and blood. So your breath alcohol concentration could be over the limit, while your blood alcohol concentration could be well under, and we're not allowed to tell a jury about that as a defense.
Right. James, I feel like we would need a book or something to help us along the way, which you've actually written.
Sure. Yeah, I'm the author of Nesci's Arizona DUI Defense, The Law and the Practice, which is the book that's right here. That is a practice manual for attorneys in the state. It's in its 4th edition now. It took 22 months of my life to write the 1st edition, and now we're in the 4th. And then there's a consumer book, How to Beat a DUI. That's published by Lawyers and Judges Publishing Company. It's available online. And that's more for consumers. And it doesn't tell you, how to beat a DUI. I mean, look, if you've had too much to drink, don't drive.
Right.
Take a bus, take a cab, have a sober friend drive you home, wait it out, whatever you're going to do. This is a guide to talking to your attorney about what is important in a DUI when you've been accused of one. But it's certainly helpful for anybody to read before they go out there. It may be boring because you don't have a DUI right now, but you will learn things in that book that will keep you safe and keep others safe, keep you out of trouble.
Right. Well, James, this is a lot of really important information. People really need to be armed with this knowledge in order to be able to deal with these situations correctly, and to know that you've been certified and that your practice is sort of more legitimate, I would say, than others that don't have the same certification. We want to thank you so much for coming on and telling us about this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And to learn more about the Nesci and St. Louis Law Firm, including free consultations for any DUI or criminal case, you can call 622-1222 or log on to azdefense.com.